Hi, I'm Scotty, and
Oh, I'm Cannon. Great to meet you.
he's being super helpful on being here today. So first, we're going to be doing the passive lateral epicondylopathy test. And for this one, as it's passive, I'll be helping with the motions. So I'm going to be bringing the fingers into flexion, the wrist into flexion, and the elbow into flexion. And again, we're looking to see if there's any pain on the lateral epicondyle, and all the sensors come from there, originate from there. So that's why we're doing the flexion, because stretching those muscles. And do you feel anything there?
No, these guns are too big to feel anything.
That's good. Well, that's a negative test. A positive test would if you felt any pain, and a positive test would mean that there would be lateral epicondylopathy pathology. And next, we're going to do the active medial epicondylopathy test. And for this one, again, he's going to be trying to flex his elbow, his wrist, and his fingers, but this time it's active, so I'm going to try to resist his motions. So he's going to bring it up. Do you feel anything there?
Nah.
Sweet. That's also a negative test. A positive test would be if you felt any pain, and if it's a positive test, then there would be medial epicondylopathy pathology. And next, we're going to be doing the Phelan's test. So if you can bring your wrists together and kind of bring it up even, and then try to bring your elbows down while keeping your wrists together. Do you feel anything there? Do you feel any numbing? Do you feel any burning?
No, not right away. I don't feel anything.
Oh yeah, so we're going to be looking for in 30 after 30 seconds. And that's passed. What do you feel?
I kind of have like this weird sharp shooting, like tingling something going on this like left side over here.
Okay, so that you can bring your hands down. So again, we're looking for paresthesia, which is burning, numbing, or tingling sensation, or pins and needles. And since he felt that, that would be a positive test, and a positive test would mean that he has possible carpal tunnel syndrome. So that's not super good, but we can help you figure that out.
Cool.
And next, we're going to be doing the varus and valgus stress test. So what brought you in today?
Well, I was trying to eat my dubs in Fortnite, but my finger kept hurting anytime I was shooting the trigger. Just, and I would be like, you know?
Yeah, I definitely have played my Fortnite. So next, we're going to, so first we're going to do the varus stress test. So that means we're going to put some medial force on his proximal interphalangeal second digit. So we're going to bring that force there. And we're going to do that bilaterally on the other finger as well. And it felt about the same, so there wasn't any laxity or any looseness in that joint. So that would be a negative test. A positive test would if there was any laxity there, and that would mean that there's a possible lateral collateral ligament sprain. And next, we're going to be doing the valgus stress test. So using the same finger, we're going to put a lateral force on there on this joint, and do the same thing. And then we're going to do that bilaterally. So doing the same finger. And it felt a little different on this finger. So there was a little bit of laxity. So that would be a positive test. And a positive test would mean that there's a possible medial collateral ligament sprain. And that's it. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth.
Hi, I'm Scotty.
Today I will be doing 4 special tests for the elbow, wrist, and hand. The first test that I'll be doing is the valgus stress test, and this is a test for the elbow, and it's used if there is a suspected UCL sprain. And so this one's similar to the UCL or the valgus stress test that we did for the knee. So we'll stabilize the humerus, and then we'll apply a valgus force to the arm. And this one we're looking for laxity. Laxity would indicate a positive test, and we'll check bilaterally. If there's laxity on one, that could indicate a UCL sprain. The next test that I'll be doing is the active lateral epicondylopathy test. And this test is used if their suspected lateral epicondylopathy or tennis elbow. So this one, we will resist finger, wrist, and elbow extension, since those are the actions of the muscles that attach on the lateral epicondyle. So, okay, so I'll put my hand here, you're gonna push against this hand, and I'm just gonna stabilize here. So try to extend. Okay, is there any pain when you did that?
No.
Okay, so that would be a negative test. A positive test would be pain on the lateral epicondyle. The next test that I'll be doing is the elbow flexion test. So for this test, you will bring your arms up into flexion, and then your wrists into extension, just like that. And then you'll hold for 60 seconds. We'll pretend 60 seconds has passed. What did you feel? Did you feel anything when you were doing that?
Yeah, I felt a little tight.
Okay, so tightness or a stretch I think is normal. A positive test would be if there's any paresthesia, so any nerve-related symptoms like numbness, tingling, or burning pain. So that would be a negative test. And this test is used for ulnar nerve entrapment or compression, which is why you would experience paresthesia for a positive test. And then the last test that I'll be doing is the Finkelstein test. So I'll have you bring your thumb like this and then make a fist. And then you'll move down into ulnar deviation. When you do that, what do you feel?
I feel like it's a really good stretch.
Okay, that's normal. So a positive test would be if you experience any pain or weakness, and that's associated with Decker-Baines syndrome. So you had a negative test. That's all.
Hola, buen día, soy Canon y ese es
Soy Elizabeth.
buenísimo y sabemos que hablas español, entonces vamos a intentar hacerlo puramente en español para ti. Just kidding, we're not going to do that. We're going to be doing some special tests because I don't know them in Spanish. We're doing them in English, and because I know you would love to try and translate that whole thing. We had to move and change locations because I'd made too many jokes and intruders came in. So we're going to be starting off with the varus stress test. In order to do the varus stress test of the elbow, I'm going to be stabilizing both the humerus and the lower forearm, and I'm going to be applying a medial pressure into there. So we're going to apply that medial pressure, and we're looking for any laxity, so we'll test that bilaterally. Again, put that varus pressure in there. And so I didn't feel any laxity, so that would be a negative test. If there was laxity, that would indicate there's a potential LCL sprain. The next test that we'll be doing is going to be the passive medial epicondylopathy test. So for here, we're trying to figure out if there is some medial epicondylopathy going on. Because it is passive, I'm going to bring Elizabeth I'm going to passively have Elizabeth do it. So I'm going to extend her fingers, extend her wrist, and extend her arm. Because we were looking for the flexors, we want to oppose their actions. And so I'm going to bring these all the way into full extension, elbow flexion, wrist extension, and finger extension. And then do you feel anything as I do that?
Just a good stretch.
Just a good stretch? All right, that is a negative test. A positive test would be if there is any pain through it. And that could indicate that there is medial epicondylopathy. The third test that I'll be doing is going to be the, I was just going to skip to my fourth one, but let's go with our third test, which I can't remember for some reason, and it is something to do with your wrist. I'm doing the radial and ulnar stress tests. So for the radial stress test, we're going to be bringing it into its ulnar deviation and putting stress on that radial ligament right there, the RCL. And then for the ulnar ligament, we'll be doing it the opposite. We'll be putting some stress. We'll be bringing it into a radial deviation, putting stress on that ulnar ligament. And here we are looking for both pain and or laxity. If there is any pain or laxity in there, that is an indication that there is either an RCL or a UCL possible sprain. An RCL sprain for the radial stress test, an ulnar UCL sprain for the ulnar stress test. our last test that we're going to be doing is going to be trigger finger. And so this one you're going to have the patient do completely by themselves. You just kind of guide them through it. So we'll have you bring your hands out, whichever one is pained, which one is involved. Okay, I'm just going to have you go through a full range of motion of each of the different digits. So we'll go through that. And if there is any catching or painful nodules, or it just gets stuck, is really what you're looking for. So as you're coming, if it like kind of gets stuck, but on the extension, that would be a positive test, or those painful nodules as well. The positive test would indicate that there's flexor tenosynovitis, also known as trigger finger. Those are all of our special tests today. Hopefully you don't mind my blundering. Have a great day.